Hello, everybody. I'm Patrick Donnelly, director of the Frost Place Poetry Seminar. Welcome to the third evening of readings of the 2023 seminar. These readings are streamed live on the Frost Place Facebook page and will be archived there for viewing later. If you're looking for an online summer poetry conference where your work will get the focused attention of some of America's finest poet teachers, please check out the poetry seminar at frostplace.org. We'd love to have you join us next year. Now I'm going to take off my MC hat to read some of my own work. I'm so grateful to everybody who has made this seminar wonderful this year. Our faculty, Angela Narcisa Torres and Rina P. Espaillat, our director, Maudel Driscoll, and all of our participants. At the beginning of the week, I mentioned in my talk about the poetic sequence that a sequence came to me in a kind of rush about a year ago, and that it will be the centerpiece of my forthcoming book, which is called Willowhammer. And the poems explain the title of the book. My reading tonight is a companion to that talk. These are excerpts from the beginning, middle, and end of the sequence. Some of the poems are just a few lines long, or even just one line long. The sequence tells the story of a crime that was committed in my family 40 years ago. I invite you to listen for the association and progression of several elements: a willow tree, a woman pulled by her hair, an enclosed garden, Latin language and poetry, the imperative mood in grammar, and the etymology of words. I wrote the poems as a continuous sequence, so I'm not going to say anything between poems. I'll see you on the other side, and thank you for taking this journey with me. Scenes from Latin poetry. Willow flower. You know how you can know some things, but forget you know until it's time to remember? Mom met her third husband, Billy, when she was a teacher helping convicts get their GEDs, and he was incarcerated at that prison. When he was paroled, they wed in the backyard with the petunias, plighted their troth, as they said, while I sang a song, lyrics from the Song of Solomon. A garden enclosed is my sister, a spring shut up, a fountain sealed. And then Mom brought this Billy person into the house with my actual sister, who at 14 was skinny as a willow in flower. 8 years older, I was far away, gone, useless, just the three of them in that house. Billy had looks and strength, a crew cut and a drawl. And my sister was a teenage votress of chaste Diana, goddess of a whole moon of not wanting it. Billy chased her, and as in all the old stories, she ran. Oh, swear not by the moon, the inconstant moon. But my sister was constant. She constantly didn't want his goat breath on her neck. She'd rather die. And after that, she would try several times. Later, Billy said it didn't happen, a thing the gods always say. And Mom said if it happened, my sister should have run faster or changed into a tree. Later, Mom said she never said this, would never say such a thing, said they were both drinking, said she didn't know, said about herself that she was a terrible, terrible mother, inviting us to contradict her. My sister didn't tell me for 20 years. I didn't know. That year I had been at a seminary, for fuck's sake, chaste votary of pale Jesus, while my sister ran away, lived on the street, and I didn't hear when Mom and Billy broke up. And when he went back to prison for holding up a Circle K, I was mopping the marble chapel and studying Latin. Da mihi multa basia mea bella puella. Translating Catullus for a test. Da, imperative case. He commanded the girl to give him hundreds of kisses. So many, a bewildering number to shake everyone into confusion. No jealous person could touch him because no one would ever know the true number. After 40 years, having excluded the word rape from a certain poem, not this poem, where it wasn't relevant, I asked myself, do I know anyone who has been raped? It took me a moment. Correction. Poets have mistaken the opening at the end of the cock for an eye. It's a mouth that forces other mouths to kiss it. It's a grave, the door to Hadrian's bulbous tomb at the edge of the Tiber, a palace, a garden, a prison. The cock begs to be buried in a mossy scabbard, just as the angel sheathed his sword to signal the plague was over. Billy, a boy's name, like Billy the Kid. Diminutive of William, Germanic, meaning helmet of desire. The word Billy in Urdu means puss, pussy, pussycat, shaft, and preventer. People want to forget that the names of God include the compeller, the subduer, constrictor, abaser, humiliator, the taker of life, the delayer, the distresser, and avenger. I brought you into this world and I can take you out of it. In which I consider an etymology. Willow flowers, called catkins, appear in early spring before the leaves. From Middle Dutch, cateken, meaning kitten. Female catkins consist of a single one-celled ovary and a small, flat nectar gland. The Tale of Murasaki. Genji had been away for an undetermined while. But one night while Murasaki's mom was cashiering at the truck stop 7 to 11, Genji came back to the house where Murasaki was alone. He peered through the blinds, circling the house, pounding on the doors and windows, howling, "I only married your mother to get sex with you." Certain he'd break in, Murasaki fled out the back and hid in the scented hollow of a juniper until Genji reached in and pulled her out by her hair. Juniper, from Latin, is compounded from roots meaning to create and youth, evergreen. The tree's tiny fleshy cones, crushed and mixed with alcohol, will cause a fetus to abort. A correspondence. The Taira Empress leapt into the sea after putting her warming stone and her inkstone inside her kimono. Using a rake, the enemy pulled her out of the water by her hair. I gripped my sister and brushed her hair hard on a certain day. Where was everyone? Mom would leave the hospital. When she returned to the house, when the key turned in the door, every hair on our heads would be perfect, numbered, known. When my sister and I talk now, it's to compare what we can't remember. For instance, each other. Where was the other in the house all those years? Where was she on the day, etc.? Where was I when? Where was everyone? In the translation my husband and I made, Jakuzen's spring poem number 6 asks, if the willow gives itself to the flood, how can the wave break it? In prose, he added, although the water of a great river can tear the various grasses and trees, the willow doesn't break as it surrenders. And although the great flood of birth and death can cause ordinary people to wash away and drown, the Bodhisattva has a soft and flexible heart that won't be reborn, won't circle through birth and death. Thus is it written. Optimi natatores sapius submerguntur. The best swimmers often drown. Could the poem be in English? I remember a poet friend asking in response to one of my obscurities. But consider, the speaker might be trying to cajole the reader to ask what kind of person in what state of mind retreats from English, or rather blurts some English out, then runs away, unable to stay in a relationship with other people's pain in the vulgar language common to them all. This is because there's a monkish room beckoning to him from the 12th century, where he might talk to himself about various things he's read. There the light is latticed, and after he's read the poem in Provençal, he might close his eyes and rest. Don't pretend your comforts are more defensible. Don't pretend your weakness is easier to forgive. Billy's tattoos. Naked girl in a martini glass, a peacock covering some older obscenity, clipper ship in full sail, cherries, biceps, shin, chest, ass. He walked around in his boxers a lot. When my sister was 14, Mom told her sex with Billy was the best of her life. The Cloak and Dagger tattoo website says traditional ship tattoos symbolize new journeys, beginnings, home, good luck, a way of life, direction, bravery, honor, or even a troubled past. The Martini Girl was captioned man's ruin. Darwin wrote of the peacock, the sexual struggle is of two kinds. In the one, it is between individuals of the same sex, generally the males, in order to drive away or kill their rivals, the females remaining passive. Whilst in the other, the struggle is likewise between the individuals of the same sex in order to excite or charm those of the opposite sex, generally the females, which no longer remain passive, but select the more agreeable partners. But let's talk about those cherries on his ass. Let's talk about how my heart fluttered up the 2 or 3 times I ever saw him. Which is just like when willowy, unrequited, polygonal Lytton Strachey was asked, what would you do if a Hun tried to rape your sister? And he answered, I would attempt to interpose my own body. I tried Google, but the specific crimes of anyone incarcerated before the 1990s are hidden from my cursor. I'd have to travel to the archive, sit in a dark room with a microfiche. Billy Chester Hall, 0 results. Show yourself, you devil. Show yourself. Every night before bed, the monks at Gethsemane Abbey in Kentucky turned to face a stained glass window showing the Virgin Mary shooting milk from her breast into the mouth of Saint Bernard. The word metaphor comes from Greek and Proto-Indo-European roots meaning over, across, plus to carry, and also to bear children. And then the monks sang at her, Monstra te esse matrum, show yourself to be a mother, imperative case. A command not to prove virginity. Mary was already famous as a hortus conclusus, a garden enclosed, but maternity. But how does a person prove they're a mother? If you think about it, Saint Bernard must have opened his mouth. Planned Parenthood invented FRIES, a memory model for consent, freely given, reversible, informed, enthusiastic, specific, which must seem unforgivable to a person who longs above all things to forget. Some versions say the Virgin's milk hit Saint Bernard in the eyes, causing him to see things that had been hidden from other men. A few nights later, something white splashed in my face as I turned in bed, the moon through a gap in the drape. 1 month she's at the north window, next month in the east, her hard virgin light circling the world, reminding people someone might be watching and writing everything down, unlikely as that seems. If you ask the monks at Gethsemane why they pray in the middle of the night, they say that's when men do most of the things for which they'll need forgiveness. Men, they say specifically. The etymology of the Latin root mater means that mother, material, matrix, and even matter are sisters. But doesn't monstra, verb imperative insisting show it, sound too much like monster, person of inhuman cruelty or wickedness, usage traced to the 1550s? And in fact, the link between proving and object of dread is demonstrable. I didn't consent to wanting to look. So, monster, don't show yourself. Keep Billy, ye gods, hidden in whatever world he now inhabits. Because what kind of dangerous would he still be if I found him? To me, I mean. In life, he had a gun. At this distance, can he hold a gun to my mind? Wizards make a hand sign for avert that looks from a distance like a gun. Point at the thing you want to fuck completely off with index and middle fingers together, thumb and other fingers circled underneath, and pop, away it goes. Only, did that ever work? In what world? Alexander the Great once dragged the Oracle of Delphi out of the shrine by her hair, more or less because the people at the front desk said they were closed that day. Outside, she said something to him, and he replied something, which all got written down because they thought it might be important. Even this late in history, some weirdos parsing the text, assigning numerical values to the awful letters, divination called gematria in Hebrew, attempting to make the stories add up to something different from what the God already said must happen. Last car. My sister, born 10/4/1964, Santa Fe, New Mexico, not dead. Billy Chester Hall, born 1939, 83 now or dead. Subtract 1939 from 1964. That's an order. It's imperative. Mom, born 3/14/1928, Summit, New Jersey, died 5/5/2005, Las Cruces, New Mexico. Smoked for 60 years, those Brownmore menthols. Married Billy, divorced him, married him again. Her last car was a 1989 Buick Skylark. This book tells the rest. Here is a curated list of rapes in Ovid. Alcyone turned into a kingfisher. Anaxarete turned into a stone. Arethusa turned into a lake. Callisto turned into a bear, then some stars. Cyane dissolved in a pool of tears. Daphne turned into a tree. Dryope, a tree. Io, a cow. Leucothoe, Nyctimene, syrinx. Frankincense, hoot-owl, hollow reeds that rattle in the wind. Rattle, tittle, tattle when people are trying to rest. Why dredge up the past? For once, can't we just have some peace and quiet? Questionnaire. Asked why I didn't protect my sister from Billy, our real dad said, everybody goes through hard things. That's just life. I shot somebody in Korea. It was Gia Tolentino who said, I think a lot of people in this world have turned into a tree and then turned back again. For instance, my sister, who in the more recent past gave our real dad many more chances than I, visited, bothered to cry when he died, took care of our mom at the end, left her first husband twice before the final time, had her nails painted with sunflowers for her second wedding, which also didn't take. Now her first ex takes care of the dog Hannah during the week when she's busy with school, which makes her two adult kids angry because if they don't hate each other, what was the point of the divorce? Teaches with a body mic because the thyroid surgeon screwed up her voice, sometimes forgets to turn it off in the bathroom, comes back to find fifth graders giggling at the sound of flushing, funniest of all the world's infinite sounds. Walked so far down the long corridors between portable classrooms that she cured her diabetes. Joked about day drinking when 6 of her class came down with COVID, including the boy who always had to sit right next to her because he pulls the girl's hair. Sunflower, Helianthus anus, exhibits heliotropism, symbol of adoration, in the young flower stage only. Citalopram and gabapentin for depression. Named the gray kitten cenizas, Spanish for ashes. Palindrome. Finally, like and unlike that girl who begged any elemental who would listen to thicken her body so the god wouldn't chase her anymore. Every day this year, my body grew grosser and more rank. No god will ever wear what I leave in his hair. In his hair, no god will ever wear what I leave. My body grew grosser and more rank every day this year. So the god wouldn't chase her anymore, her body thickened. Any elemental would have listened when that girl begged. Like and unlike, finally. Nunc memini me parva sororque fuerat, parvam vitream salicem, et posuit super eam manus maleo. Now I remember my little sister that was, little willow of glass, upon whom he laid his hammer hands. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Please join us again tomorrow night, Wednesday, August 3rd at 8 p.m., when our reader will be Rina P. Espaillat. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and goodbye for now.